Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about The Punisher. One Last Kill or The Last Kill?
One last kill.
One Last Kill, which, believe it or not, doesn't even happen. All right, let's get into it, guys. So Wyatt here is our Defenders professional, which is why we have him here, of course. Obviously, he's been talking with us on the channel about Daredevil, Born Again Season 2, and everything going on with the Defenders. So let's just jump into it. What were your initial thoughts as this started playing out?
All right, going into it, big fan, John Berthel's Punisher, right? It's one of Daredevil Season 2, one of my favorite seasons of Daredevil for him alone. Him being in Daredevil Season 2 makes it one of my favorite of that show. I think he's great in that. The Punisher show, I do love the Punisher show, especially Season 1. I do like Season 2, a lot of that show as well. But you see a lot of talk now like around Marvel adjacent media and all that. Like, he's a fan-loved character. People consider it one of the best one of the best character castings out there for superheroes. John Berthel has became the Punisher, right? Everything you see him in, you go, oh, it's Punisher. So going into this show, very excited for it, as not only a huge fan of the character himself, but, this is the actor, and the idea of Marvel kind of going back to the special presentations, because, Werewolf by Night I thought was amazing. I like that going into it, I heard that he was writing for it, which I was really excited to see, because, he's one of those guys who you see all these interviews and you hear about how much he's really deep dived the character after getting the role of Punisher, and I think that shows a lot in his adaptations.
Totally, and I think he just wrote the, he just had a special for the Bear Go Up with his character, which I think he also wrote for that. I think he did, or co-wrote it.
I don't watch the Bear, but I did see there was like that there's like that special episode that came out not too long ago.
So I just thought that was kind of crazy that it was both so close to this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so what were your expectations going in? What did you think this was going to be?
Going into it, I had heard I had seen a lot of, what's it called? Just TikToks and media stuff talking about what we're potentially going to see. Yeah, set leaks and all that. It's like I knew of, and I had known of the One Last Kill. I don't think the comic run is called One Last Kill, but I had known about the whole. It's DiNucci. Is that their last name? The crime families.
Yeah,
DiNucci, whatever it is. I had heard about their sort of storyline with the Punisher and the run-in he has with the mother of the sort of crime family. So I was had a rough idea of what we were going to see. I knew she was going to be in it. I knew it would revolve around Punisher killing her whole family, which is very mirroring of what happened to Frank's family and his whole drive to be the Punisher. It's why it's such a standout comic for the characters, because it really does put Frank in a psychological sort of state that he's not really in a lot as the Punisher. He's very much revenge, kill revenge. And it really makes him question his whole ideology and why he does what he does, and if it's actually helping people whatsoever. So that's what I was really expecting going into this show.
Yeah, for me, I was just kind of expecting more depth, not more depth to the character, he has enough, but kind of what we did get, which was just a reintroduction leading into Spider-Man. I kind of thought it was going to be a little closer tied into it.
I did too.
We'll kind of talk about that. I think it will be connected, of course. But yeah, so like just jumping into it, some things were standing out immediately. The sound design, I think, is amazing. I think there's a lot of scenes where it's like, okay, like you're saving a lot of budget by just having him like go through the stuff mentally. And you don't need like a full, he's back. Whereas PTSD is you can just have 3 actors there doing a really great performance. His acting is still amazing. His little twitches and movements are just so cool to watch when he's on screen. He's a very, very good actor still. Just kind of going through my notes, I was appreciative of the fact that the flashbacks of his family were pretty consistent with what we saw. I don't know if his wife ones were the exact same ones, but she was laying there like the same exact way. And I did check, the kids were recast.
Okay,
because I was just curious. I was like,
just because you know how long ago it was.
Yeah,
but correct me if I'm wrong. The wife seemed to be the exact same girl. She looked.
Well, I don't know. It might even be the same clip. I don't know.
Could be.
Because it's the same shot of her laying there. The lighting just looked different. Because that I think it was all throughout Season 1 was that clip of her laying there. But I don't know. Like, I feel like as a reintroduction, I was appreciative of the fact that they showed the flashback again. But also there's so much context missing that I don't know how well it would work as an actual reintroduction. They say on the TV that he's going after these people that killed his family. And if you were to miss that background audio on the TV,
See, I
you
actually
wouldn't really
didn't see
understand.
that whatsoever.
It was in the opening when he's getting that coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, obviously, it gets restated by the lady in the wheelchair that shows up. But other than that, I feel like as an actual reintroduction, there's not enough context around this. You mean? And almost if you didn't get that there was other people involved, you would kind of just assume that it was just this family that did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
And
was
they
really,
leave a lot of
really
stuff
hoping
vague.
that I would have really liked it if I didn't recognize, besides Curtis, I didn't recognize the other two soldiers with him whatsoever. I
Yeah.
think they were just kind of random. I
Curtis
would
was
have
the main one talking to him, right? That
Yes,
like
correct.
just showed up later.
His friend who like was the doing the meetings and stuff during the
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I
do
wasn't
like
sure if that
Curtis
was the
being
same
back.
person.
He's a really cool character to be back, especially in the capacity he was in. Before I get too far into what I was about to say, I like the very start. I like seeing a character like Frank in the mental state he's in now because he is a crazy human being. It's what kind of makes the Punisher stand out in terms of uniqueness to these other Spider-Mans and your Captain Americas. Is this guy he is an anti-hero. He's not mentally stable. He is on the edge 24/7, basically hanging by a thread, fueled by this hatred and this vengeance he needs to get for his family. And sort of finally see that, and he's always kind of portrayed in a very sort of stoic, I think is a good word to put it, way. Very
Yeah.
calm, collected, and sort of like always in control of the situation. And you never really get the vibe that he is crazy from the other adaptations. Like there's the
Yeah.
scenes in Daredevil, he talks about how I'm not crazy. I'm not like some of
And you
these
see him
maniacs
taking
running around.
medication.
Yeah. So, and you see him just drinking and sort of this, and throughout the whole show, it really goes on. He's like talking to people who aren't there. He's obviously lost his mind. And I do like to actually see him in that state, especially with how John Bernthal is able to do that as an actor. And also as a character, it's sort of a long time coming to really see him like this. And I like the capacity of it being in a one shot, not necessarily having him be kind of crazy all through Daredevil Born Again, when she just shows up for a
Yeah.
little bit at the end of season 1. I like that they kind of waited for his own little self-contained show to kind of explore that depth of the character. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. It
But I
adds to
do
the
agree,
loneliness and all that.
I agree 100% on you that you don't really understand what happened to him if you're not a fan. And I know pretty much everyone watching this show has seen The Punisher or at least Daredevil. Just 'cause I feel like nowadays where we're at in Marvel, those have become sort of staples, is at least
Yes.
Daredevil at least. But
Yeah.
still, you can't take that liberty as a writer, especially when you're Marvel or Disney. I do think there's a certain aspect, and you have to just, with something like this, you have to go into it with the mentality that, let's say this is someone's first time watching this character, so you can't really just kind of hope and pray that they have seen it, because what if someone out there hasn't,
Yeah. That's something that I'm finding tough with a lot of things coming out now, is pretty much every show coming out is saying that they are being built to reintroduce it. You know what I mean? And a lot of times going into shows like that, I don't even know what I want. You know what I mean? Like out of them saying that, because sometimes I feel like they're explaining the backstory where it's like, sometimes you don't need to. You can reintroduce the character from a different point in their timeline of being that character. And maybe their backstory isn't necessary at that point. You know what I mean? And then other times I'm like, well, maybe you should have included more of that. So it's a very like, I don't know what that sweet spot is, but I feel like everything we're kind of getting shown nowadays is this is a reintro, like if you want to introduce new people to it. But I feel like a hard thing is meeting that audience. I feel like nobody actually is going to find out about who the Punisher is from this. If anything, him just being in Spider-Man is an actual introduction to new people, because it's people are going to go for Spider-Man and then just casually see him, which is, I think, an actual reintroduction.
I like, when he's at, I like the sort of depression he feels, and this urge to want to pretty much die. Like he's at his wife's grave, or his daughter's, I mean, all three, but his daughter mainly. His daughter's always been sort of the main focal point of his sort of disparity and loss. I like the stuff with him when he's trying, he has the gun to his head at the grave. I think it was a very good moment, and I think it had a lot of weight behind it, and you could kind of feel, it felt genuine from where the character's coming from. Like you understand why he's at the way he's at. But what I will say about this one shot, or whatever you want to call it, special, the longer it went on, I feel like the less interesting it got, and sort of the more sort of just actiony it became. I don't really feel like there was much actual depth to the character at all.
Yeah.
And
I
it really
had that
did
written down
sort
in
of
mine.
at one point, there's 30 minutes in, and I checked how much was left, and I was like, there's really only 15 minutes left of this. Like, all he's done is yelled and kill people, you know? When you're taking a comic run that's supposed to be about breaking down Frank's psychological, like, why he does what he does, beyond vengeance, beyond getting revenge for his family, because he's already fulfilled that pact, you know? Call it Punisher One Last Kill, but there's not a single point in the show to see even, like, discuss never killing, you know? Kind of like, you're thinking, oh, one last kill, is he going to stop killing people? I don't really understand the title at all, you know?
Yeah. And it kind of just misled me completely because I thought that it was going to be a Kill Bill 2 thing. Have you seen Kill Bill 2?
I actually haven't. As much as a movie person I am, I haven't. And I love Tarantino as well. I haven't seen the Kill Bills.
So trying not to spoil it. If you ever watch them either one night and then the next night watch the other, or watch them back to back. But I recommend the one night and the one night. But at the end of it, it's not a huge action sequence because you've seen the character do that before. There's nothing you gain from putting on a song and having him do cool stuff. You know what I mean? And especially, it feels like a bad reintroduction because you're basically saying, here's 20 minutes of emotional stuff, but really we just want him to fight and be cool.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, if that didn't get you hooked, then let's show you some cool stuff. And it just doesn't feel like they're trusting in what the actual character is. Whereas, like I said, I thought the One Last Kill, I thought maybe he was going to be like in a room talking with one person because John Bernthal is great in that. We saw that when he first showed up in Daredevil. You know what I mean? And I thought it was going to be like he's having to consider if he's going to kill a person or not. You know what I mean? Like, I thought there was going to be some sort of push and pull just through like two actors acting. And instead it goes from, like you're saying, the first 20 minutes of this is completely different than the rest of it. Completely different.
They very much set it up. Like, you know, I was thinking here, he's going to not bump into, but there'd be this moment between him and the Danucci crime boss, the mom, and they'd have this discussion about how yada, 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 my family's dead, your family's dead. And it would really put everything in perspective for Frank, that everything he's like, the amount of new villains he's created, the amount of pain he's caused for himself on this whole vengeance, and is vengeance the way? It's what vengeance is the way, but does he need more than vengeance to do what he does? And obviously that sort of comes to the conclusion at the end when he saves that family in the bakery, and then he decides to be the Punisher again. But all of that is done with so much so much nuance and just looks. And like I talked at the beginning, if you didn't really watch the other Punisher stuff and hear that conversation he has with Matt Murdock in the graveyard when he's talking about his daughter and his family, you don't understand why that one look of this girl in need in the bakery is enough to make Frank sort of pull him back to reality in a way, you know? You don't get a lot of that.
But even with that scene was not working for me at all. Those people are saying thank you to the guy who caused everything happening right now. And I know you can say, well, they did this to his family. But still, he is directly in the chain of events that leads to all that chaos that happens. And I don't understand. Like, it just felt so wrong for them to be like,
and the way the 9-year-old girl runs up to him and gives him a hug and says, like, thank you, and brings him the flower, the fake paper flower. I get this sentiment. But he just brutally murdered 14 people directly in front of her and like his family. The dad, the guy'd be like, "Thanks, man," and then they would get the hell out of there. You know, like, there's this sort of. And first of all, I get that they want a lot of people to fight, but this whole neighborhood is just ransacked by gang hitmen going after Frank. It's a cool idea, and I kind of get what they're going for, you know?
Yeah.
But it also just doesn't really seem to fit very well. You know, it all feels so out of pace. Not out of pace, but like rushed. And, you know, like the stuff with the family, I get there's a lot of him saving kids in a way. It's kind of what they're going for, I'd like to think, you know? To have that sort of connection he has with his family. But like with stuff with the family being attacked and then they light him on fire, yes, it's a cool fight scene and it's great. But it's just another fight scene. There isn't a lot of sustenance in this, I feel like, you know, outside of cool fighting and cool kills.
Yeah, and that scene in the bar towards the end, or in the coffee shop, threw me off so much because it baited me into expecting a really good thing. Because he's sitting there and he's kind of lost it and he's just stabbing that dude over and over again. And even that, I was like, it kind of seems like the director's pushing this more than the Punisher's pushing what he's doing. He just kept going. You know what I mean? So, and then he has that scene where he looks over at them crying. You know what I mean? And like you're saying, I thought, boom, like the end of season 1's finale, when he saves those 2 kids, I thought, boom, his parental instincts are going to kick in. And I thought he goes to grab his knife out of the dude. But I thought he was grabbing him and moving him out of the way. so the kid didn't have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was the scene. I was like, okay, he's gonna drag the body over here and then like tell the girl like, oh, it's okay. You mean you can leave now. You mean they're just
Mm-hmm.
not saying anything and let them do it. I thought they were just gonna do some sort of like he still has that side of him. Instead, they have the girl do it and give him the flower, which I understand they're trying to be like people can still see him as a hero and not as a bad guy. But it doesn't work because it's not coming from him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that needs to actually be the person
100%.
still doing things like that. And instead it's coming from someone else.
He needs, yeah, I agree completely. I'm trying to add some more thoughts. And
Dude, I got notes out the wazoo.
the Karen scene really didn't sit well with me at all.
Dude, that was literally the people that ship Karen and Punisher. It was, we're going to give you just enough in case you're one of those people so you're not mad at us.
The one
And it was so
one
bad.
thing I did like, it was interesting and interesting. She was wearing a shirt that his wife was wearing in the flashbacks. You know,
Yeah,
cool. That was cool. That was a cool.
it kind of, that was a cool pitch to show that he's kind of getting how he sees her.
Yes.
Which is kind of odd to me because I had always thought
it's a relationship. How about you?
I'd heard someone say that he sees Karen more as his daughter grown up. When I heard that, I kind of went with that way, at least preferring that way. Not saying that's what they were intending, but to me that makes sense because again, I think there's a huge problem when you say this character is doing this because of his dead wife,
mm-hmm.
and then you're trying to have him continue romantic relationships.
I've never liked the idea of Karen and Frank having any sort of romantic relationship together. You know, I've always viewed it as a very good friendship, and I think that in Daredevil season 2, maybe like there is some scenes where they give each other looks, but really, it does really feel to me like a friendship, and it always felt like a good friendship.
Yes.
And I feel like a friendship that always had this sort of maybe in a different lifetime type of vibe to it, which is fine. But from where both these characters were in terms of Karen and Frank is very much kind of a character who I don't think will ever be with anyone ever again since his wife has been murdered in front of him. It's his whole driving factor, like you kind of just talked about. His whole driving factor is getting revenge for his dead family and his dead wife. It's really hard for him to form that sort of connection relationship again because, like we see in Punisher season 2, they always get hurt at the end. Is the lesson Frank learns in that one. You know, not your traditional one night stand where you take the girl and her kid out for pancakes the next day, but even trying to start a relationship or start that sort of maybe this could go somewhere. It ends with her getting shot, you know, and in the hospital. Frank doesn't have the luxury of having a relationship with another partner, and having Karen show up in the capacity as she did just felt so out of place. It was almost like they wanted a character who wasn't Frank just to be like, oh hey, there's a Karen Page.
Yeah, we're filming Born Again right now. Let's throw that in there.
But like even in Born Again season 1, which I don't know if you see the part, she calls Frank up to help Matt out of friendship. Like, it feels like they're friends. Like it doesn't feel like a romantic thing. So to have and I get that it wasn't Karen, and this is kind of all in Frank's head, but it almost makes it feel a little worse to me that this is in Frank's head. Because again, like we just talked about, I don't view Frank Castle as someone who really, at this point, cares about that type of stuff, can even think about that stuff anymore mentally. He's so at his edge. He's so broken as a person. All he does is murder and kill and hurt people. He doesn't give me the vibe as a character who would sit there like, does she love me? She loves me not. She loves me. She loves me not.
And story-wise, pacing-wise, to me, again, totally faked me out where I went, oh, I see where this is going. I was like, okay, they've done the fake out of there's not real people here so many times. She says, I'm here, Frank. And I'm like, I'm going to censor that. But she's in a building where hundreds of murderers are showing up. This is so interesting. But like, obviously there are some things that weren't lining up there. Why would she be there? She would have had to have some ploy. The person would have to set her up there. Something. You know what I mean? Because again, that would have been another way to go. Have the Nucci family try to do a recreation of what happened to her with Karen, because she's kind of the last person he cares about that much. You know what I mean? He still argues with Matt Murdock, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Like, again, totally baited me in there. Where I was like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen now? Like that wasn't in the set leaks. That wasn't in anything. I was like, this is good. This is good stuff. And instead it turns on, it was La Vie en Rose, right?
The song?
It starts playing that, yeah.
I don't
And
know.
he like jumps
That's
out.
more you.
And again, he's like taking like 5 minutes to get ready. Like I understand he's got the stuff going on, but again, he hears the family like could be dying across the hall.
Yeah.
As a reintroduction, you're saying like just so many things that just don't connect.
And
When really every moment it's him by himself acting, this is amazing. Like this should have just been quiet moments and I
Yeah.
would have been fine.
Another thing with the Karen thing, it's not even like they use her fake person to attack it from a different angle. You know, as like Frank, why are you doing this, whatever, whatever. They use it the same angle they use his wife in this sort of like romantic aspect, which is why not just make it his wife again? You know, it would make so much more sense to the character. It would hit so much harder if it was his wife talking to him. You know.
Yeah. I got plenty of notes if you want me to run through them.
Yeah, keep going. One thing I will say, I do wish they were able to get Russo as one of the guards. Not the guards, but he's talking to his military friends. It would have been really nice if they could have got Billy Russo to be there, just to add that sort of level of like Frank Psyche, you know?
Well, that would have been, again, that's a lot of ground to cover, but there has to be a window. There has to be some sort of way to make that work and not make that feel cheap. You know what I mean? If you're going to throw Karen in there, which is, again, you have to watch this, this, and this, and this to know who that is and know anything about that. Because, again, if you don't know who Karen is, that's the weirdest scene on earth.
Agreed, 100%. You're like, who's this girl he hooked up with one time? Like, what is going on
right?
here? Yeah,
you would have no context at all whatsoever. Anyway, okay, so let's...
Because she doesn't even show up in the Punisher show, so you have to watch Daredevil. And obviously most people had watched Daredevil.
She does show up in the Punisher show.
Does she?
Yeah, when it's like, what's their deal? Like, set the flowers in the window or something? It's like the diner episode, and then, yeah. I don't know if she shows up more than that, but I do remember her being in that part of it. But yes, the music I thought was amazing. I haven't actually checked who made the music, but it was perfect when it wasn't a soundtrack. They were doing a lot of, I don't know, they were doing like some Guardians of the Galaxy type song drops.
I enjoyed the
some
sound
were
drops.
okay,
The sound drops. I
some
thought they were
bad.
cool.
I thought some were okay, some were bad.
I don't like
they were doing like
I didn't
three
like the slow
back.
song. The one you just mentioned at the hallway fight scene with the fire. I just felt like it didn't fit very well.
It was out of place.
Yeah,
it's not that kind of character.
But I like at the end or the middle part where he's the mom. I don't know her first name. I think it's Maya or something like that. The mom's driving away in her car, and he chooses to go help the family. I like the music drop there. I thought that was really cool. The way it kind of comes in kind of loud as he starts fighting. Very much showing his mentality, you know?
Her rolling away. Her rolling away and looking back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kind of like, not tacky, but just
my apologies to all mob bosses out there who happen to be in wheelchairs, but there's something inherently...
I feel like the thing we were really should have gotten in the show, I really wanted to see a lot more actual conflict within Frank about doing what he does, outside of just being a sort of deranged, crazy person who kind of has to get back in reality. He never once really understands that, like, all these people are getting hurt because of the situation, because of what he's done, you know? And I feel like that was kind of what they were very much presenting to you with Title One Last Kill. I know they don't intentionally let the set lead come out, but having the character they have play the antagonist who is known for this comic run, where that is the big staple of it, is Frank kind of having to be like, what I've done is created all this. Is vengeance really even worth it at this point? What do I do now that I'm done with my goal, you know? So I think that's what I wanted to see a lot of, and we didn't really get any of it, you know? I feel like I really would have liked it to be like an hour 15 and kind of rework the story a little bit to be a little bit more of an actual story instead of just him killing people.
Totally. There's just wasn't much direction, I think. I think there was a lot of this would be cool, this would be cool, this would be cool.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of
Let's figure out how it works later.
Exactly.
I really liked the part and the kid at the very beginning. He's running around in a New York Knicks Jalen Brunson jersey. For all those watching the podcast, that's my favorite basketball team and my favorite player. You got this guy right there. Second time in 2 projects that the New York Knicks have been mentioned. Go Knicks. And Daredevil Born Again season 2. My boy Daniel, he's wearing a New York Knicks hoodie, and he's got some posters in his room with the Knicks. When I saw the kid running around in the jersey, the Brunson jersey, I called Ethan and I was like, "Dude, you're not gonna believe this." He was like, "What? That's crazy." It's always cool to see. Representation like that. King of New York, just to call him. That guy rocks. Birdie's back.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I talked about how the kid in the beginning, the boy in the apartment, he was wearing my favorite basketball player's jersey. He's wearing a Jalen Brunson jersey. I thought it was awesome.
When I was a boy, when he said boy, I just thought of Kingpin.
Yeah, I was also expecting a little bit more of a Spider-Man tie-in. Kingpin made me think of that, even though he's not in either one of those.
Well, that's what I'm thinking now, is she got away. So
Mhm.
that's probably what that truck's going after in the opening of the movie, right?
Could be. Or
It's
something
gotta be.
related to her. Yeah. Or I mean, maybe they're going off the fact that maybe he is a full blown not good guy, but he just now he's a vigilante in a way where things go wrong, he tries to help, and he's just going after someone else, which
But it
whatever.
has to tie into this. If it doesn't, when are they going to pick this storyline up?
I agree. I would like a little bit
Because
of a
that's the other
tie-in.
thing I'm thinking is maybe this got shammed because they're tying it into that story. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Like have Tombstone work for her or something small like that. Just like the smallest connection.
You might be onto something. I could see that. Because Tombstone comes in a Lego set for that truck thing.
Mm-hmm. Does he?
He does. I think it's supposed to be the tan one from the trailers. They just color swapped it because they don't want it to look like anything military. But if he's in that, then that might be what the Punisher's going after. It's possible. It's possible. I thought it was funny that the only other thing I knew this director and co-writer from was the Bob Marley biopic. So I was like, dude, who's doing this action? It's got to be some dude who does action indie movies or something. Nope, he did the Bob Marley biopic, which does have a few weapons in it, but still, it was kind of crazy. Also, I was getting heavy. I don't know if you've seen The Penguin. I was getting
I haven't yet.
heavy HBO The Penguin vibes. It goes from New York City to this whole thing is taking place in Gotham from the Batman universe. So, I don't know, that was kind of crazy. So I wonder if we're going to be getting a full Gotham, New York City with Spider-Man because it's completely gray in the trailers. So maybe they're sticking with that and maybe that's something tying into Doomsday and Thunderbolts or whatever. Because I think maybe it is just high crime in New York City all the way around. You know what I mean? Because it is just super gray in the Spider-Man trailers. I think it might just be super high crime rates.
I'd be cool with that.
That's what it seems like. It seems like they just want it to be more like a Gotham, so then there's actually just more going on. Let's see. Yeah, I just wrote adding nothing to Frank.
I agree. That's kind of the
I
biggest
thought they
takeaway
added
I'd
the
say.
PTSD stuff and made it interesting visually. And then other than that, there was nothing. Nothing that we hadn't already seen before.
It sucks because
better.
for as excited for it as I was, I really did. At the end, I was kind of like, why was this really made? You know, it didn't do much for the character. It didn't deliberately tell us why he's in Spider-Man. It didn't even really touch on anything he's doing and he does in Born Again, the end of season 1. You know, like even then, it feels a little disconnected in terms of the story, and I just really didn't. I don't understand why it was really made. As much as I do love the Punisher and will take really whatever I can get, I would have liked a lot more.
Yeah. I think this works as a turn it on, get your hours worth of Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the best, but you still can. You know what I mean? I'm kind of worried this is what the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be.
No, don't say that. Don't say
No,
that.
I'm so excited. I'm
I am too.
excited more than the average person, and I'm less worried about it than the average person. But still, it kind of feels like no
Mhm.
matter what happens, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be a good way to get everything the Mandalorian series offers in some way in an hour and a half. That'll turn on Disney Plus when I don't feel like
Yeah.
watching the whole show, which is fine. But when it comes to something like this, I kind of liked the gimmick of him being in a building and then having all the people show up. The only thing is, he goes in the building. Start a scene like that in the building.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to be like, when you go in that building, I'm gonna send all these people here. Leave. He could just leave. You know what I mean? Again, they could have just had Karen there, had something there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. They add a little
To
more weight than a
just
Frank
some
Battle Royale.
incentive. Instead, he's doing the end credit, not the end credit scene, but the final scene in Django, when he's jumping out the doors and landing on people while he's shooting. It's cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to see John Bernthal know how to hold the guns, do whatever. Obviously, I'm not a professional, but he looks cool doing it. You know what I mean? But he's just doing random stuff. Even stuff that just seemed cool, but not smart.
Yeah.
When he goes to the roof, there's clearly a side of the building that's taller than him. And I'm why would he go out there? If there's anybody up there, they would get him. It was just
For a
little
character
things
who they've
like that
always
where I'm
established is
he's such a smart dude.
Is very smart. Oh, I really liked the sort of way when he breaks his dog tags and starts cutting up his Marine tattoo. I thought that was a really cool moment, kind of showing how
You know
broken
why?
he was.
It was in the first 20 minutes.
True. It was the first. Yeah. A character who they've always kind of established has a lot of pride in being a Marine. It's really cool. It's cool to see him kind of push this far. I thought that was really cool. A little addition.
Because now he thinks that he's given out on that. That's
Yeah.
how he sees it. Which again, super interesting. Would love if they got into that more. But they just don't tie it into a main thread. It's just tons of loose stuff. I don't know. I was so worried that like you were gonna like really, really enjoy it.
Oh
I was
no,
like,
I didn't.
no, I went and watched this and I'm gonna be such a Debbie Downer. Like
No,
I
I
already
was, yeah,
am not a fan of the Defenders
severely
enough.
disappointed. Seems wrong, rude to say, not rude, but I'm not. That's not what I meant. But like,
It's accurate though.
it took 30 minutes in, and I was like, yeah, this is. I mean, it's 30 to 45. But when when I clicked it, and there was 20 minutes left, and I was like, yeah, there's gonna be nothing plot wise here, character wise. This I was
Yeah.
very. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks.
Dude, there was that final scene with the key, and I was like, oh, it's not over yet. The lady did something, has a key to something. Boom, we got like one final battle. This is the Kill Bill moment. Here we go. Faked me out again. And I check and there's 7 minutes left. And I'm like, okay. And then the camera's pushing back. And I'm like, okay, what's the final hook
What is
here?
the key even for?
I don't know.
Like they didn't really.
Even if it is something where it's like, that's from The Punisher season 2. Again, it wouldn't be enough to like signify to the general audience, which is kind of what I'm here for. I don't know, man. And even at the end, you can't sell the end of the show on a suit reveal when there are set leaks and we've all seen the suit.
When
You know what I mean?
your end shot appeared in the trailer. That's how the trailer ends. It ends with him walking out in his Punisher costume.
And it was dumb. You can't just, like, I understand. That dude killed that dude's dog. But for him to kill that dude based off him going around and hitting some people with some baseball bats did not seem the same as when he was killing hitmen breaking in to kill him. Like,
Yeah.
for that to be the final, like, hurrah scene, like, he
I
looks
agree.
at the other dude and is like, yeah, let's go. It's like, what are we learning here? You literally have had now 3+ like shows, you know what I mean? All going into like, I just need to get through the people that have harmed me and my family. There we go. You know what I mean? And then people just keep popping up from that. That makes sense.
And
For
maybe
him
he
to just be
is-
like, this dude on the street hitting people with a baseball bat, I'm just gonna kill him. And it's like, dude,
and I don't
they're like, we can't
see
find
it.
where
I don't
he
find
is.
it believable that he is going to be sort of coming this, not going on a killing spree, but so much more lenient and just killing people because he thinks he's helping. And they're
Yeah.
going to deal with that issue in Spider-Man because Spider-Man's a PG-13 movie. You know, I don't really believe that they're really going to go into that whatsoever in terms of Spider-Man. So it's not like I really feel like it was setting up that to be a sort of antagonistic force to Peter Parker.
Yeah. It's a tough thing. And again, I thought the cops were gonna get involved. You know what I mean? I thought maybe there's a cop character that would be in the next Spider-Man movie or something because he's killing so many people. And they're like, we
Mhm.
can't find where he lives. And then they're like, we're leaking your location. It's like, hey, also leak it to like officers of law or something.
He
Like,
just sort
wouldn't
of
they know?
he really does just walk away from the whole incident
It doesn't
in his
make
neighborhood
sense.
and kind of just that's kind of the end of it, you know. And I don't know.
And even when he got to the rooftop again, another like these are just mental fake outs. Like this was me putting too much expectation into it, clearly. But like when he got to the roof, I was like, dude, police helicopters, here we go. You know what I mean? Here we go. This makes sense. The murderers can't get up to the top. Time for some police helicopters. Nothing, dude. I thought it was something, dude. I don't know what I was expecting. Because there is aspects of that in this. I will say there's hints of that in this. Overall, I cannot say this is like a terrible, terrible thing. It's still a sort of fun watch if you're not going into it too crazy. But for this to be the big debut kind of thing of like reintroducing
MCU Punisher
him to the
here,
MCU.
pretty much, yeah.
Exactly, like he was fun and
I agree.
he was fun in Daredevil boarding in, but that would be like if Daredevil had a 45-minute special after he was in She-Hulk. And it was like, we're getting back into the Daredevil show, kind of. Like, you should do more.
Him and Daredevil season 2, not season 2, Born Again, very much felt like, which was fan service for the fans of the Punisher series on Netflix and the Daredevil series. Like, here's his character you love. Look at him kicking ass in action. Whereas a Punisher one-shot is supposed to have a little more oomph and weight to it. And it just felt like, hey, you really like when he fights people? Watch him do it for 45 minutes.
It was such a misread.
Which is not what was needed, you know?
Like, this feels like the movies that, like, I feel like people ask for. You know what I mean? Like, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but this is, like, what I would expect the Vader solo film to be like. Like, you get, like, 20 minutes of emotional stuff, and then it's Vader pulling people apart with the Force just because it's cool. And it's like, I don't know. And like I said, the soundtrack, like, I really liked the original soundtrack, but, like, it just kept switching song after song, and the vibe switch was so random. The tone was just, like, all over the place. It went from, like, again, La Vie en Rose to, like, some crazy, like, I don't want to say metal, but it was almost like a metal song, and it was like, I don't know. That just was not feeling that aspect of it.
I agree.
Overall, though, I still like the one-shot concept.
I do
I
too.
think they're not utilizing it right, but I think
In
that
theory.
there's plenty of stuff they could do here. You know what I mean? I just think they're not utilizing it. We're getting more out of quiet scenes that have one person on screen than the giant 50-person fighting scenes. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Like, I understand it's not something that you can market on a Disney Plus commercial as easy, but it works better on an emotional level. The people that are tuning in are ready to meet you on that level. So there's no need to try to be like flashy cool for a Disney Plus commercial.
I agree. Like,
And the
Werewolf
pacing
by
was
Night
just
was
off, dude.
was very good. And I feel like that made me really excited to see what
Yes.
the next spotlight or one shot would be. And I just feel like it
Yes.
really just fell flat.
And where Werewolf by Night succeeded is even in parts where it's corny or something, it was still black and white.
Very creative.
Or
felt
classic
ambitious to put
exactly.
a little.
And letting a composer direct it, you know what I mean? That has worked with the MCU. That's just a cool concept, you know what I mean? And introduces characters that maybe wouldn't fit into the MCU just like how we have it now. And then, they have animation too. You could totally do something like Eyes of Wakanda, but do it like a 45-minute special and have different concepts shown through animation. But I feel like that stuff is also too streamlined. Like, they need to get like some random director doing animation in their way and like just really pushing the one-shot concept. Because I think that's what Disney Plus is made for, and it's just not being used for this or any of the other franchises.
I completely agree. I don't really know where they're going to go next with the Punisher. I mean, obviously Spider-Man, so that's kind of a dumb thing to say. But in terms of character arc and like actual motives and the character himself, it really kind of put him in a weird spot where there's just not much going on, really. You know, we're kind of in
He's
the
just
same spot
Batman
we
now.
were 100%.
So that's how he showed up at the end. He showed up at the end, and I was like, okay, we just spent 45 minutes just so he could be Batman.
Batman who murders people.
He kicks that dude to the curb. I hated that last scene. Like, I will confidently say I hated that last scene. He's like, he turns to that dude, gives him a look of like, should I kill him? That dude's like, yeah. And it's like, dude, what is even going on?
I think my dinner's here.
Hey, I think mine is too. But
Well,
just overall, know what you are. That's what Disney Plus needs to do.
I agree.
At least the Guardians Christmas specials and stuff, know what they are. They execute that good. They're not too much. They're not too little. I think those are good examples of know what you're doing. Same with Werewolf by Night. Overall, again, I can't say this is bad, but if you're looking for like a really intense connective storyline, not the place to go. Go to Punisher Season 1. I still think that's the greatest example of this character.
I agree.
And I just highly recommend the first season especially. The second season was okay. Me and Nathan weren't really fans of it.
Watch it if you watch the
Season 1,
first
I
one.
think, is
Might as well,
amazing.
you know. Season 1 is
Yeah,
great.
just see
Season 1
how
where
far you get in it.
the rubber meets the road. Season 1's great.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's okay. Again, I don't think this is a great reintroduction if you're trying to show new people who the Punisher is. I feel like it's kind of just like a mixed thing. It's like if you showed like Boba Fett from Mandalorian to someone. It's cool, but he's just fighting people. So you're not really getting anything there. Anyway, are you good to wrap up? Any more notes? Anything?
No, I've covered all my bases.
He didn't even say, let me tell you something. That's the biggest problem.
The whole line.
That is the biggest problem
at this point.
Anyway, thank you everyone for watching us talk about something that we watched just now, today. That just released today. We're on this stuff today. New videos coming out all the time. We got random one-off videos. We got the podcast going. We got This Month in Marvel every now and then. You know what I mean? And we're still making that work, kind of. We'll see if that sticks around. But thank you guys for joining. Put a playlist on screen here in a second, and that'll have all of our Defenders videos put into one collection. So if you want to go check out what we thought about Punisher Season 1, Season 2, Daredevil Born Again, any of that stuff, that will all be there for you to find on your screen in just a few seconds. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been Effortless Entertainment, and I hope you have been entertained.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.